I'd like to welcome everyone to my online presentation to Kobe Bryant. For the next 90 minutes, we're going to take a deep dive into Kobe's on-the-court game. We're going to break down every facet of his offense and his defense, clip by clip, and also share with you stories about the off-the-court work in preparation that made him a champion. We all heard the stories about Kobe's work ethic, his hard workouts, his late nights, early mornings. But it really never did it justice unless you saw it with your own eyes. I had the unique opportunity to work with Kobe every day for 4 years. I scouted every opponent for him, wrote scouting reports, and also gave him analysis of his own game, good or bad. With a lot of late nights, a lot of arguments, a lot of good times as well. So sit back and relax. I hope you're a fan of bad lisps, Boston accents, and breaking down clips. For any fan, player, coach, I think this would be a sort of a fun experience. So let's go to work and let's have some fun. So here's the schedule for tonight. For the first 20 minutes, it's just going to be a presentation with no video. I want to take you behind the scenes of Kobe's insane work ethic, his workouts, and his daily routine. I think for coaches and players, it's a very important part of the presentation. So many times throughout the year, I hear from players that would say they want to be the next Kobe Bryant. They're lying through their teeth. Nobody wants to put in the daily work that made this guy a champion and one of the best players of all time. I want to just take you through it and let you understand it for someone who was right there and experienced it for 4 years. Then I want to get into the process of how I got hired. I want to talk about the early communication, the first game that I ever scouted for Kobe, and then breaking down the video of that game against the Houston Rockets in 2009. Then we're going to get into the video of Kobe, and we're going to build it like a foundation of the house. We're going to get into first the footwork into his shot. We're going to get into his mid-range game, going right and left, and the footwork that went into that. Then we're going to cover his fakes after drives, how he sort of created space and get to the free throw line, and how he got his defenders out of their stance. We're going to cover his jab game and ability to create space, taken right out of Michael Jordan's book. We're going to cover his screen and rolls, not only his shots, but also his passes and his reads. Kobe did pass from time to time. Then we're going to get into his world-famous post-up game, again, right out of Michael Jordan's book. And then we're going to cover the defensive side of the ball and the intricacies that made him a 9-time first-team All-NBA defender. Let's sit back, relax, and let's have some fun. Let's go to work. If you ask somebody what a professional is, they'll probably come back to you with some answer that had something to do with somebody getting paid to do something. My definition of being a true professional has nothing to do with money or getting paid. It has everything to do with having winning traits and a winning routine that you do every day, regardless how you're feeling, how you're playing, or if your team's winning or losing. I felt as though Kobe was completely invested in his craft. I think this is what separated him from other great players that had great talent and great ability. I'll show you some of these things that I thought prepared him to win and be one of the best players of all time. First off, he was always early. If you worked him out at 6 a.m., he was there at 5:30. You had a meeting with him at 10, he was there at 9:45. He took punctuality very seriously. I think it's a trait that all young players really need to have. Next, he took care of his body. It didn't matter if it was the preseason, regular season, postseason, or offseason. He was in impeccable shape. He always wanted to be the most conditioned athlete on the floor, and the work that he put in really helped him do that. He hit the weight room hard. He wanted to be strong. He knew that he had to get ready for 82 games plus playoffs. He was always trying to prepare himself for the finals every day. When he got on the floor to get reps up, it was always game shots at game speed. He wanted it to prepare him to win, or he didn't want to even deal with it. He had no time for bullshit. All right, his workouts were right on point. He knew his playbook inside and out. He prepared every day. He knew what plays they were running, who they were running them to, option 1, 2, 3, 4, and 12. Not only he knew his own playbook, he knew his opponent's playbook. Every play they were running, right down to the T. He studied his opponent individually, up and down. He wanted to know their strengths, their weaknesses, what shit to talk to them, anything to frazzle them and get them out of their rhythm. He was all about it. He was extremely coachable. All right, he was a strong personality, and if you didn't come strong with him with something, All right, if you didn't have all your I's dotted, T's crossed, he would give you some shit for it, and he will come at you. He will cross-reference you like he's on the Supreme Court. He led by not only vocally, but he led by example. He felt as though if he was going to be on the court for 5 or 6 hours a day, your ass better be on there or he's going to give you shit for it. All right? He held his teammates to a very high regard, and he held them accountable every day. If he felt as though that you were working hard and you were doing everything you could to win, he was good with you. If you didn't, that's a different story. But the good thing about it with him is he wasn't a hypocrite. You could hold him accountable and come at him if he wasn't doing what he needed to do. The problem is you better come strong or he will get you. He will rip your fucking head off. And that's the truth. He didn't do it for show. This is what he was about. 25 hours a day, 8 days a week. It didn't matter if a camera was in his face or not. This is what he lived. This is how he was. And this is what Kobe Bryant was all about. The first time I worked Kobe out was in the summer of 2008. I was working the Kobe Bryant Skills Academy run by Nike Grassroots Basketball out in Irvine, California. Kobe was about 2 weeks out from losing to the Boston Celtics in the finals. And I got a phone call during camp by Tim Grover, my boss, and said, hey, look, Kobe wants you to work him out tomorrow at 5 o'clock. I thought it was p.m. He meant a.m. So I leave the hotel. I was with Chase Budinger, an All-American forward out of University of Arizona. He was a college counselor at the camp, and Kobe wanted somebody to work out with him. So we get to UC Irvine around 4:45. Kobe was already there at 4:30 getting shots up. I go up to Kobe. He goes, look, run the workout 2 hours. If I need to add something, I'll add something. So we got spots up, movement, perimeter footwork, post footwork, triangle work, one-on-one from a bunch of different spots, and that was the workout. I go to him after and I say, hey, KB, you want me to come back tomorrow and do the same thing? He goes, you can come back tomorrow, but I'm not going to touch a ball. It's going to be all defense. It's going to be closeouts, footwork, rotations, anything, slides, anything to do with defense, and I'm going to have it with a weight vest on. I was like, enough said. 2 weeks out from into his off season, most players are probably just getting in from the club the night before or sleeping. This guy's, already drenched in sweat and getting his work in. After our conversation, he says, look, this is what my rest of my day looks like. I got this. I got weights. I'm going to eat. I've got yoga, stretch, martial arts. I got hot tub, cold tub. I'm going to go home, lunch, sleep, hang out with the family, and then I got track work at night. Again, one of the best players of all time, 2 weeks into his off season, and this is how he's ramping it up. So you already knew what type of mentality he had. My job was never to work him out. My job was always just to get him prepared for opponents. I wasn't even working for him at the time. But I remember he would call me from time to time to come to California to work him out. I remember in 2011, he brought myself and Tim Grover out to California to get him ready for the lockout was just about to end. It was in the fall of 2011. And on the plane, I was watching a bunch of film just to get ready for our workouts. And I saw one move that he did like 6 or 7 times in a 3-week period. It was like an in and out crossover step back. So after one of our workouts, I was like, all right, Kobe, let's work on this move for 5 minutes. He goes, Mike, I never work on that. I go, Kobe, I saw you do it a bunch of times. He goes, no. He goes, look, I want to master each one of those moves individually. So if a defender takes something away, I could just counter to it. So that's just off a feel and off a read. And, that's why I never practice moves. I just think it's a waste of time to predetermine what you're going to do. It's got to be all off a feel. You got to be a basketball player. You can't be a robot. I thought that was pretty interesting. Like all his ball handling was all stationary. All right. It was never moves. It was never anything elaborate. He wanted to put the ball where he wanted to, when he wanted to. He wanted to build up the strength in his fingers, his wrists, his hands, his forearms. He wanted to have total control of the ball. His workouts were very simplistic. They were 2 hours. I always read about this, like the blackout workouts and things that he had, but they were very streamlined. They were 2 hours. They were all game shots, all situations, working on passing, working on just putting him in game situations just to let him play. And he went hard as hell for 2 hours. No bullshit, no gimmicks, just work, all game shots, and just all just focused things. And I was very impressed, in our work together, just because, it was just no fluff and no bullshit. It was just all about, being prepared, getting shots up, and just making sure things felt right. I remember one spot we were on, one dribble pull up from the wing, and he spent almost 5 minutes on it because it didn't feel right. He wanted to make sure his feet were right, his body movement was right, and it just felt right getting out of his hands. He was a perfectionist, and it showed. And that's why I think young players today got to stop with their bullshit that they're working on and really streamline their work like this guy does. One of the best of all time, and this is how he did it. So February of 2009, the New York Times and Michael Lewis wrote this article about how the Houston Rockets would give Shane Battier this statistical package to shut down Kobe Bryant. It was filled with analytical data, basically telling the spots that they needed to force him into and how to defend him, and how he was very inefficient against the Rockets, probably more inefficient than he was with most teams. Their GM, Daryl Morey, was with me with the Boston Celtics for a couple of years, as the godfather of analytics of the NBA. And the article was very interesting, and I didn't think much of it at the time, except it really shaped my career after, and a couple of months later, and helped me get hired by Kobe. If you want to look up the article, it was written in February 13th, 2009, New York Times, author Michael Lewis. So about a month later, I got a call from Tim Grover. Tim was traveling and working for Kobe throughout the season. He asked me if I read the article on the New York Times about Kobe. I said, yeah, I read it a few times. I thought it was pretty interesting. He goes, well, Kobe's going to be reaching out to you today. And I said, you're shitting me. He goes, nah. He goes, so just keep your phone on and be alert. At the time, I was staying with Kevin McHale, visiting the Minnesota Timberwolves, going to some practices and games. So I got an email from Kobe about an hour later, and he was saying, hey, look, I read the article. I want you to get some intel for me about how teams defend me and what my weaknesses are in their eyes. So I said, okay, I'll get back to you in about a day. I reach out to my friends that were either head coaches or assistant coaches or advanced scouts, and they gave me the same runaround answer. You just got to force him into tough shots, and hopefully it's a bad night. I know if I came back with that bullshit with Kobe, I'd never hear from him again. So I did my own fact-finding mission. It took about 36 hours. I watched about 6 games that he played against Houston. And then I also analyzed what he was doing, against any other teams, and some of the things that he could be doing better, and some teammates that he wasn't really using to their full capacity. So it took me about 36 hours. I get this report done about not only how Houston was defending him, but what he could be doing better in his own, with his own team and own situation. And I didn't really know what he really wanted because he never really gave me any guidelines except that. So I gave him this report, this 5-page email, and I didn't know what to expect. So here's what I came up with. After watching the game tape, getting my own intel, and analyzing anything that I could, and watching about 6 games that he played against Houston, the first thing was that Shane Battier, that was going to be defending him most of his possessions, was one of the more fundamentally sound defenders that I've ever seen. He had size, he had strength, he could keep in front of you, he was disciplined, he never left his feet on Kobe's fakes, always had his hand in his face on every jump shot, and he baited Kobe into taking these tough shots consistently throughout the game. He baited Kobe into taking just tough isolation shots for 48 minutes, and it showed because Kobe was very inefficient. Any drive, they wanted to load up, they wanted to force him into Yao Ming, and instead of trying to move Yao from side to side and take advantage of his slow feet, Kobe tried to shoot over him, which was problematic most of the time. So the first thing I was telling him in the report, I was like, look, you're taking a steady diet of these tough shots throughout the game. That's what they want you to do. They want to sucker you in to try to shoot 40 times a game, 30 plus times a game. And you just can't win games by yourself at that level, in the sense that against teams like that are just so focused in on you. So the first thing is you got to use your teammates more, and you got to believe in them more. It just seems like on the tape that you don't. The two teammates that I feel as though you could have really maximized their talent that you're really not doing enough with is, Trevor Ariza and Pau Gasol. Trevor, I thought, wasn't a good isolation player to be able to take games over, but he was a great spot-up player on the weak side of the floor, especially when they send four guys to Kobe on his drives. I felt as though he could dish to him for spot-up shots. He could, straight line drive and cut, as well as cut, to the basket. I thought he was a very underutilized player at that time. Pau Gasol obviously is one of the best players in the league, but I felt as though against Houston that he would have a really good role for that game. I felt as though they really needed to take advantage of how slow Yao Ming was going away from the basket. Yao Ming is an elite rim protector and post defender because he was smart, had obviously really good size, and just knew how to use it. But I felt as though if you can get him away from the basket on, when Kobe would drive, especially, from the left wing to the baseline, having Yao step over and then having Pau, get to the ball side elbow to be able to dribble, kick, and kick to Pau for those jump shots and catch and drives. I thought Yao would have a really big problem with stopping the ball in the rotation and then rotating back to Pau. I thought that he could take advantage of those two guys in that game and really give LA a chance. So I told him, I said, look, offensively in the flow of the game, especially against Battier, any shot you take needs to be in rhythm, needs to be quick movement. You can't stop and isolate and over dribble because they're going to load up to you and it's going to be a tough shot. I said, you got to set the table early to your teammates, take the pressure off of you, because you just put so much pressure on yourself trying to take 30 shots a game. You got to put just alleviate some of this pressure by getting them the ball, easy looks, get Yao away from the basket, and I think you'll be okay. On pick and rolls, you got to get Yao away from the basket, and again, don't go over him, but go side to side. I really didn't think that he was taking advantage of Yao's lack of foot speed enough, and that was my report. So I gave him this 5-page report, video, all my intel. I get an email back saying, okay, bet. I'm saying to myself, well, he just told me to go fuck myself, and this should be great. So I didn't know what to expect going into the game. So let's break down the game tape, and let's go to work. I didn't really know what to expect going into that game. I didn't know Kobe very well. I didn't know if he would listen, not listen, but I really did have confidence in that game plan that I gave him. I thought if they forced Yao out of the paint, if Kobe would limit his tough shots and set the table early to his teammates, that they have a very good chance of winning. Here Kobe gets Pau into the game early, little pick and roll, pocket pass. I felt as though anything with Yao moving is going to be good for the Lakers. Just that little pocket pass forces them to have to sort of rotate out to Pau, and that 17-foot shot was going to be effective for them. Again, another pick and roll. They got Pau on a short roll. I thought that shot was going to be huge there. Again, getting Yao to move anywhere on the court, just to get him sort of rotating somewhere else and then have to move back. I thought Pau would have plenty of time for that shot. Here's not really a play, but it allows Yao out of the paint and Pau to be able to drive by him from the perimeter. Pau is just such a graceful offensive player that I thought this was going to be an advantage for them. Yao does a good job trying to stay in front there, but Pau's just really tough to stop on the move. Here, quick movement shot, dribble handoff, one dribble, pull up. Those are the shots that I thought Kobe would be really effective with. It wasn't giving them chances to, sort of load up on him. He was getting quick movements, quick shots, one dribble pull up. That was perfect. Here, Kobe gets in a transition, a little hang dribble jump shot. Those are the types of shots that I want Kobe to take because they're rhythm shots. He's such a great rhythm player. Here, they just get Pau sort of flashing to the high post for a shot. I mean, look at Yao, just does not want to move. And that's just such an advantage for the Lakers to have Pau there to be able to make a 17-foot shot and then Yao have to run out to get him. It just shows that he just could not move efficiently and be an efficient defensive player. Here, Kobe operates out of his kill spot in the elbow, just that left hip jab jump shot. Those are the types of movements and the types of shots that I thought he can get against Battier. Same thing, they get him on the same spot, and that's one of the spots he loves operating out of, and you just got to continue to go to it. Didn't, hold the ball for a million seconds, just jabbed them off and caught and shot. Here the Lakers get it to Powell in the high post. He spins Yao twice on a spin back. Again, just showing the lack of foot speed, and it's just tough for Yao to defend people who just go at him and change directions multiple times. Here they get KB just on a movement, re-spaced for three. Like I said, anytime that he can get shots where it's just quick and they're not really loading up on him, and he's just a tough shot maker, that was a good shot. Here they just got a little dribble penetration kick to Powell for 8 to 9 feet. Just, again, anything to get Yao moving would be good. Now here's the possession I think just sort of sealed my fate with Kobe. They got a high pick and roll with Yao in it late in the game. Anything that to get Yao moving in this situation is going to be good. All right, so Kobe takes it at him. All right, on the pick and roll, changes direction again, and gets the easy uncontested layup. Here's the play that clinches it again. You got a high pick and roll, Yao in it again, and forcing Yao to come back. And again, anytime to get him moving, just much less of efficient as a defender. He's moving, has plenty of space, no contest, ball game. Now after this, I never thought I was going to hear from Kobe again. I thought it was a one-game deal. And, after his post-game interview, I get a text from him 90 seconds later and say, look, I got San Antonio, I need this again. And it ended up being 4 years of, just this type of work. It's such a whirlwind 4 years working for that guy, and it was a great experience. So for 4 years, this is what Kobe's daily scouting package would look like. First off, he received a 12-minute highlight edit of each of the players that he'll be defending. That means the starter, the backup, and either the third player in the depth chart or a player playing another position that he would eventually have to defend. That edit would have, where they got their shots from, where they operate out of the offense, what types of shots to expect. Do they fake? Are they physical offensively? Do they draw fouls? What types of moves they'll be making. So I just want them to have all of that. They were taken from usually the last 4 or 5 games that player would play. Then he would receive on the same players a 9-minute breakdown of all their mistakes each player would make. Where they turn it over, what situation do they really struggle from, what side of the floor do they struggle from, do they struggle on double teams, do they struggle with length. Every type of mistake those players would make, he would know about them. Then the players that will be defending him, I gave him an 8-minute highlight video for strengths and weaknesses for them defensively. Are they susceptible to the fakes? Do they have good foot speed? Do they foul in the post? Do they hand check? All those things that he would know they would do, so he could obviously work the referee as well as working the player. But I want him to know the strengths and weaknesses defensively, individually, of all the players that will be defending him. He got a shot chart. NBA.com at that time, early on, would have these things called hot zones, where they would have a court with all the percentages from every quadrant on the court. I wanted him to know where they were hot from, where they were cold from, and where to force them, what quadrant of the court he should force them to shoot out of, where they would be coldest, and, to his advantage. I want him to know the percentages of those players driving right versus left. I want him to know the percentages of where they shot going right versus left. Are they susceptible to fakes? Can he get them off the ground to draw fouls? How do they foul? Do they foul in the post? Do they foul hand checking? I want him to know all of those things so he could, put that in the back of his head. I want him to know the high frequency plays that he called to those players. So the top 3 or 4 plays they would call to those players, when he would expect them, and just sort of the weaknesses in those plays. I want him to know what type of moves those players made in crunch time. So when they need a basket, what are they going to go to? I want him to know the defensive rotations of the teams that he was going to be facing. So how they guarded pick and roll, how were they going to guard in the post, where the double teams were going to come from, all those types of weaknesses. Gave him about a half a page game plan of attack. Do they start the game slow in the sense that does he set the tone early by passing the ball? Does he, should he be aggressive early in the game? Just sort of my thoughts on what I thought he should start the game with. I also gave him for his teammates, who has the best mismatch, so he can go to those guys efficiently and have them, be able to score. So taking pressure off of his offense, so he doesn't have to do everything. So where he can go to throughout the game, and who has the best mismatch in their favor. Post game, I want him to know, get a film of all his shots, all his touches, turnovers, and defensive plays that he was involved in. I gave him about a one-page post-game analysis where I thought he was good versus not so good. We would usually how the day would start is I would send this report out at 7 a.m. my time, 9 a.m. my time, 7 a.m. his time. He would get this report. We would start talking right after practice. We'd probably email each other back and forth 8 or 9 times throughout the day. About 90 minutes before game time would be the last email that he would receive from me. If he needed anything else throughout the day, I got it for him. After the game, about 40 minutes later after the game, I want him to get the post-game stuff. So I want him to be able to, do his post-game talk, post-game interviews, ice, cold tub, hot tub, all that, and then get that either going to the bus or going home to be able to talk about it. We started talking probably around 11, I'd say 11:30 his time. We'd probably be talking until about 3 a.m. my time. And then, if we had a game the next day, he'd get the report the next day. If he didn't, I'd wait till the game day to give him the report. So basically, this is what it would look like for 4 years that I worked for him. The first thing we're going to look at in Kobe's offensive game is his catch and shoot game. His catch and shoot game was the foundation of his whole offensive arsenal. He's a permanent pivot foot player that liked to catch the ball on shots left-right. He wanted to be in rhythm. He wanted to do the same thing at all times. So his workouts and his prep work, he'll always work on getting to a left-right. On his mid-range drives going right, he always wants to end on a left-right. On his mid-range drives going left, doesn't matter if it's 1 or 2 dribbles, he'll always end on a right-left. He's a big rhythm player, like I said before, and he's very consistent with his feet. I want you to notice this. I don't care what type of shots he's taking. I want you to notice his feet and how low he is before he shoots the ball. I want you to notice the consistency of his feet. Kobe wanted to get to that left-right like we talked about before. He wanted to start his whole offensive game with that left-right. He was a big rhythm player. He wanted to make sure he was consistent. In his workouts and his prep work, he started with those spin-outs to a left-right. Just wanted to make sure his feet were consistent. Every time he shot the ball, he wanted to try to do the same thing. Consistency is the only way he was going to get him through the night. And he knew starting all his drives, everything he wanted to do, started with his right foot. As you can see, he had Shane Battier to deal with, like I talked about before, that hand in his face. That's the type of stuff he had to deal with most nights, contested shots. So he needed to be shot ready before he even caught the ball, and then stepping in rhythm every time doing the same thing. Consistency is the key with Kobe. Always talked about it, always worked on it, always lived by that. You got to be consistent on your catch because your catch starts everything you're going to do on the perimeter. He was just precise on everything he did. He had a plan for everything he did, and he just worked time and time again at countless reps of doing it the right way. That's why I talked about in his workouts, making sure he did it the right way or he did it again, and he did it again until it felt right. This is the end result of doing it that way. Just being a shot maker with great feet. Now let's talk about going to the right. His footwork going right, he always wants to finish on a left-right. His footwork on a one dribble drive will be a right, left, right into a pull-up. It didn't matter if it was 1 dribble or 2 dribbles, he wanted to finish on a left-right. Consistency is the key. I'll say it again 1,000 times. And he always wanted to finish the same way going right, as well as the same way going left. It didn't matter if it was a change direction, if it was a jab, if he was going to go right, he wanted to finish left-right. Young players, you got to be consistent. You got to do things the same way over and over and over again. It doesn't matter what move he made because he knew he shot the ball thousands of times going to his right on his pull-up, that he knew what his feet were doing at all times. So it didn't matter about how he started it. He knew how he was going to finish it. And I think that's what you got to be when you're trying to be a very good wing player. You got to be consistent with your feet. It's just thousands and thousands of reps doing the same thing at all times. Remember we talked about just making reads. That's what he wanted to do. Just make reads, all right, and just think the game. And he wanted to finish the same way every time when he was going to go, in a direction, a certain direction. And now when you go to left, he wanted to finish with a right-left. Didn't matter if it's 1 dribble or 2 dribbles, he wanted to finish right-left. If it's a 1 dribble pull-up like that, it's a long step right, short step left. And he wanted to just, again, finish right-left. All right, defender took one thing away. He didn't mind going left because he worked on it thousands of times. Change direction, change speeds, it doesn't matter. He worked on his ball handling, worked in these situations thousands of times. All right, and that's what happens when you're prepared. He knows what his feet were doing at all times, so he didn't really have to worry about it because he worked at it. He was efficient with it, and he was the best at it because he worked at it. All right, he has a plan for everything that he did, very much like MJ. MJ had the same mid-range footwork, going right, going left, right, left. All right, and just he would make every type of shot because he practiced. He was systematic of what he did. He streamlined his workouts. No bullshit. Just did, just made simple plays and dominated at them. And again, you could throw anything at him and he can drive in any direction because he worked at it. Now let's take a look at Kobe's straight line drives. In the straight line drive game, he didn't waste space. He wasn't a big east to west guy. He liked just going direct. He was physical where he liked to take contact. He played through contact. He would even work at it where you would just slap at his wrist as he shot the ball from 10 feet, 12 feet, driving it, and he would want you to wants to come up over your hand to be able to take the slap. But his straight line drive game wasn't a lot of movement, didn't mess around with the ball, just wanted to get to the rim. He was low, he was aggressive, and he attacked. His finishing game was immense because he worked at it every day. He worked on finishing off the glass, right hand, left hand on the right side, right hand, left hand on the left side. As you can see, he goes against the best defender every night. He can't really play with the ball all that much. He has to be in straight lines, he has to be aggressive, and he has to get to that rim. Didn't matter, he had to have an array of moves that he could finish with. But again, he doesn't waste time. Faces a player up, drives him. Wasn't a huge floater player, but he had that in his package because he just worked at it. And just low, he wanted to get that shoulder by you. He wanted to use that offhand. And here we go with Yao Ming, just changing directions. And just another proof that Yao just can't stay in front of him away from the basket. He likes to change speeds. He likes to change direction. But he was just body to body when he went by a defender, and he was just aggressive getting to the basket. I think just part of his game, just playing with it a little bit and just getting to the rim. He always just wanted to be aggressive getting to the rim because now the next time you play him and you back off of him, now he could pull up. But look how low he is. He gathers the ball high and he can finish. Uses the glass. He was a huge fan of going off the glass. High off the glass, mid off the glass, but just practice all those situations. All right. Again, with his ball handling, just being strong with the ball, he could put it where he wanted to put it and then just get to the basket. He worked on his ball handling, worked on his finishing. He just put it all together. Again, everything's off of reads. Doesn't want to predetermine where he's going to go. And on this drive against Allen, look how he just swipes his hand away at the offhand and then takes the hit not only off Allen but off KG as well. Look at the drive taking the hit. Look at the offhand, the left hand, that little MJ swipe through, swiping Allen's hand away, going body to body. All right, he's going to drive by. All right, and he's going to do it again. He's going to swipe it, stay low, take the hit, and then take the hit from KG. Just aggressive, tough basketball player. Let's talk about Kobe's ability to create space. Kobe was a huge fan of using jabs. His biggest teaching point on the jab step is to keep the ball tucked in his left hip as he jabbed with his right foot. On the perimeter, he always wanted to, have his right foot free as well as in the post and keep that the ball tucked on that left hip. As he jabbed back, he knew that the defender followed two things: the moving foot and where the ball's at. So not to be prototypical to have everything on the right side lined up, where now if it's tucked on the left side, the defender has to make a decision. Do they go after the ball or do they go after his moving foot? And on his jab, he just worked the defender. If the defender didn't respect the jab, he just drove by him. If the defender went back or had his hands down on the jab, he just pulled up for a jump shot. And then, following the moving foot as he jabbed the defender and the defender went back, Kobe knew when he put his foot back for the jump to get back to his jump shot, that defender will be going forward. He always wanted to use your balance against you. He wanted to move you up and down on fakes, back and forth on jabs, change direction right or left to move you right or left. So on a jab, a defender gets you back. He also wanted a jab outside your foot to move you not only back but to a side. And then whatever side you go to, he wanted to attack the other side. His footwork was the same. Going right and left, he knew, that it doesn't change. When you're going right, left, right. When you're going left, right, left. He always wanted to create off his right foot and keep that ball protected. And on the jab, having the ball on his left hip, he knew that the defender couldn't get at it. So let's take a look at his jab game. First thing you notice on the jab here is the ball tucked on Kobe's left hip. Ball protection, again, was huge for him. And be able to jab a defender off to protect the ball. And if they don't respect the jab, he's just going to drive. Here on Kawhi, same thing. Just multiple jabs. He didn't jab 10 times. I'm just rewinding it. And again, just getting him off balance just a little bit. And then once he got him back, he just able to shoot the ball. Notice he's always low in his jabs because then he could just rise up for his shot. Here against Raja Bell, ball's in his left hip. Jabs him off. Creates that space he needs. Now he's right into his shot. You're going to hear me say this 1,000 times, the left hip. All right? Protect the ball. Get that defender back. Move him any way you can just to free up that space to shoot the ball. As you can see, defender reacts on multiple movements on his foot, and that last jab gets him back just enough for him to get that shot off. Very MJ-like. Here was an elbow isolation. All right, waits for the cut. Jab. Keeps that ball tucked, protected, and then gets to the shot. A lot of contested shots, obviously, but just been able to be a master at creating space. Keeps that ball on the left. Here against DeMar DeRozan, he's got to be able to move him somewhere. DeMar's too good, too athletic, and too big not to be able to move him somehow. The jab got DeRozan moving, created that space. And as you can see, just that little space that he needed to get that shot. Jabs Battier off. Again, that left hip is going to be big to protect the ball against Battier. Battier is always going to be getting his hands in the cookie jar, just freeing up a few inches to be able to get that shot off. That's where the jab step really comes into play here. Multiple jabs, just get that defender back and able to shoot the ball. Same thing here as he faces up. All right, Redick's on his left hip. He has to bring the ball to the right side, but he just jabs the ball and able to shoot the ball. He wants to create that space. He wants to create just a few inches. That's what he needs. As he jabs, Redick goes back just a tad, and then just creates enough space for him to get that shot. He's always trying to limit his movement to be able to get his shot off. Here against Turkoglu, he's going to open up the drive. As he jabs, Turkoglu goes back. We'll see it again. He jabs, Turkoglu goes back. As he brings his foot back, Turkoglu's balance goes forward. As his balance goes forward, that's when Kobe just gets low and then goes for the drive, using Turkoglu's balance against him. Here's the jab. Turkoglu goes back. Foot comes back. Turkoglu comes forward. And now here's how it's going to open up the drive. Systematic in everything he does. He wants to read the defender and use his balance against him. Here he faces up Pietrus, moves him on the jab, and then drives to his right. Right, left, right, just like we did in the mid-range game film. All right, J. Kidd guards him up top, tries to get under him, just jabs and gets to that right drive. Sometimes he used the fake, sometimes not, but he's always going to be low in the catch, low in the jab, low in the dribble. The only time he's going to raise up is when he shoots the ball. I mean, Kobe's footwork was impeccable because he worked at it every day, and he was consistent at it. I'm going to use a lot of the same terminology and just sort of the same teaching points, and just because that's what it is. It's just simple stuff. Gets under his defender. All right, he always wanted to be lower for longer. Here he gets to his kill spot on the jab, 2-dribble pull-up for a game winner. Always trying to get to his kill spots. Kobe and MJ mentioned a lot about getting the kill spots. Kill spots were at the elbows and or at the blocks. They knew where the elbows were at all times, and they knew that's where they wanted to get to. I know in today's game it's mostly threes, and these shots aren't taken as much. But back when they played, these shots were very, very important, and they still are today. All right, if you're good at it and you could force as many uncontested shots from these spots, they're fine to take. But just watch the drives. Always low. All right, left hip, jab. Got Tayshaun Prince, one of the best defenders in the game, on his hip and able to raise up and shoot. Feet are consistent. Knows what he's doing at all times with it. Here's Battier, has to jab him off. Get to his right, left, right footwork and pull up. See as he's low and he raises up in the shot. And again, Battier with that fucking hand in his face at all times. He was phenomenal at that. Just consistent as consistent can be. But Kobe knew exactly what he's going to do with his feet. All right, here's the jab, protects the ball, goes all the way to the basket. As you can see, doesn't waste any space, doesn't waste any time. Able to jab, Brewer comes forward, and that was Brewer's mistake. As his foot goes back, so does Brewer's. Remember, moving foot in the ball. As he comes back, Brewer comes back, his balance goes towards Kobe. That's where Kobe uses it to his advantage. Goes body to body and able to take contact on the drive. All right, here we go. All right, for the 19th time, drive, body to body, finish. As you can see, takes the contact, initiates it, able to finish the ball and get to the rim. All right, dribble, body, has his man on his hip, keeps that ball high, takes the hit, and able to finish. It was a remarkable finish, but the footwork set the whole thing up. Here's the drive on Wallace, has to jab at him multiple times and take that fadeaway going right. But again, you got to do it. You got to set your defender up. You got to try to move him. You can't just dribble a million times and take a bullshit shot. It's got to be a straight line. It's got to be body to body, and you got to have a system of what you're doing. All right, same thing on Prince here. He opens up the floater game by jabbing and attacking, going body to body. Ball's in his left hip because he knows Prince is long-armed as hell and he can get to the ball. He goes body to body, able to drive him, commit, and shoot that floater going right. All right, here Hill tries to take his left away, and Kobe just goes all the way to the baseline. Ball's in his left hip. He has to make a decision. Does he attack the ball or the moving foot? All right, he pushes up, forces baseline. The help's not there, but he overhelps, and Kobe just takes advantage of that, sees it. Eyes are always up. He's always looking at the floor. Kobe always wanted to look up. Now, he didn't make a lot of passes sometimes, but he always saw what was going on the floor. Here, Kid takes his righty drive away from him, and now he just goes to the left on the pull-up. But again, taking one thing away, adding to it. We talked about that before. That's what he wanted to play off of. You take one thing away from him, he's going to play off of that and then go somewhere where you don't want him to go. So you're trying to force that right, left. All right, take his right away, and then boom, right, left, pull up. Here, LeBron does the same thing. Takes his right away. Kobe goes 2 dribbles left, pulls up, right, left in the footwork. Again, left hip, stays low. All right. Stays low, drives in that baseline. 2 dribble, right, left, raise up. Low on the jab, low on the fake, only raises up on the shot. Here, Kawhi plays him hard, takes his space away. Kobe doesn't have the jump shot right away, so he jabs and goes to his left, right, left, pull up. All Kawhi can do is challenge the shot and stay on his feet. Here, sometimes on the face-ups, they could be natural jabs. As he faces up, all right, Butler just overplays because he's following the moving foot and the ball on the same side. Kobe just raises up going left. Let's talk about Kobe's fake after drive game. Kobe had the ability to raise players up after a drive to be able to fake and get them out of the defensive stance. I think it's a great move to use for players at all levels to be able to fake, especially when defenders are trying to go after that jump shot. Here he drives baseline, lifts the defender on a fake and steps through for a little hook in the lane. I think fakes after drives can get you to the free throw line. It can just free yourself up to get your shot off, and it was a very effective weapon for Kobe. Here against Tony Allen, which was the toughest player that Kobe had to ever go against defensively. He gets him out of his stance to be able to drive, which he almost never goes for fakes. And, Kobe just raises up and gets the shot off. Against great defenders that are especially going to try to get you a ball, I think it's a great option to use. Kobe used it time and time again to free up space to get a shot off, to get a fadeaway off, or to be able to just initiate contact to get to get to the free throw line. Here again, steps through on the fake and with the finish. He could always, again, when you're going right, that's why you plant with the right foot last, because then it always opens up a step through. Same thing with going left. All right, you always want to end on that same foot and then be able to step through. You could either shoot that little jump shot like he does here, or you could step through long to be able to finish at the rim. Kobe just made a knack for trying to get defenders out of their stance. Again, always want to try to stay lower for longer. And this way, he just gets defenders up, raises up. Gerald Henderson did a good job there. Faked a couple of times, tried to get a shot off from the fadeaway. That's a very tough shot, percentage-wise, but that's Kobe just being Kobe. Here against Marcus Gasol, he drives by Tony Allen, uses that fake, gets Tony up in the air, draws the foul, and one. Just trying to use those fakes before drive and after drive. The more fakes you could use, it will definitely open things up. Same thing with Humphries trying to get to Kobe's jump shot. KB stays down and just raises that fake up. Humphries gets out of his stance. Again, trying to move the defender any way you can, get him up, draw the foul, and one. Here against Kawhi. Again, Kawhi is great on his drive, defending him, but just gets out of his stance, and that's what Kobe always wanted. Kobe always wanted to move the defender multiple times in a possession to be able to go from a position of power. Playing out of the triangle, Kobe really didn't get a lot of screen and roll looks, more later in his career, but his ability to score, take his man off the dribble to get to his kill spots, but also able to make reads, when he put two defenders on the ball, to be able to make reads to not always roll or a pop man, but other players space out in the court. It was a big weapon for him later in his career to be able to use some pick and rolls and to be able to open up the floor to either score or make plays for other people. So let's take a look at not only his scoring plays, but his passing plays on pick and roll. Now, in the Rocket series, in the playoffs, I just thought that, again, getting Yao away from the basket for Kobe would be great, especially on pick and roll coverage. If Yao played up, it would open Kobe's ability to be able to split him and get him to the basket or string him out. Anything moving Yao's feet was going to be a positive for Kobe and the Lakers. So again, we just kept on stressing that if this situation would come up in playoffs, just to get Yao moving his feet to give him the advantage offensively. As you can see, just Yao moving back on this just gives Kobe the advantage. Anytime he could get Yao to get on his heels and moving in any direction, just sort of gave Kobe the advantage offensively to be able to raise up and shoot. Yao does a good job contesting, but just wasn't enough. Here with the Chuck Hayes situation we discussed before the playoffs, Chuck does a decent job in pick and roll coverage. He was mobile, but he just wasn't big enough to get to Kobe. In my opinion, I just thought that Kobe could just raise up and shoot over him whenever he needed to. Especially, it was tough, and he had to shoot some fadeaways and things, but I thought that Kobe just being aggressive and be able to shoot over Chuck wouldn't be a huge issue. Here they get on his right and be able to, force him away from the screen, jumped him, and Yao moving back a little bit gave Kobe just the ability to pull up right outside the lane for that little flick. Again, just getting Kobe, I knew Batty was going to be on his hip on most of these pick and rolls, so just be able to drive him hard to the baseline, move Yao back to open up that little chip shot. Would be big for him. That was a good spot for Kobe. He usually likes to use the glass here, but just obviously just with the pull-up was fine. Here, again, they push up. Kobe just has to make a decision. He's, Batty would do a hell of a job. Decent screen right there. He didn't have a lot of time, but he just had to move pretty quick on it. So now here with the Orlando series going in the finals, we talked about Howard and pick and roll coverage, and he was going to be the weak link. He wasn't really motivated to play pick and roll defense, especially coming away from the basket. I thought Kobe was going to have a field day pulling up because he did a very poor job at contesting shots. So I told Kobe, just be aggressive. Bynum and Gasol could set good screens for you. Pietrus is going to be a tough one, but on pick and roll coverages, if you could just get a little bit of space, that pull up against Howard isn't going to be a big deal because he's not going to come out and challenge. Here, Bynum does a good job screening Pietrus. Now it's just one-on-one against Dwight Howard, and I just didn't think Howard was going to make the sacrifice to be able to come out and challenge shots consistently. Kobe likes snaking on pick and rolls here. Did a good job just getting the shot. Again, another pick and roll situation against Dwight Howard. I told him, just get to that elbow. Howard's really not going to be much of a problem there, as he wasn't there. He got the late challenge, but I just thought Kobe consistently was going to get these really good looks in the playoffs and the championship, and just continue to challenge Howard would be good for him and good for the Lakers. Here he comes off the pick and roll, snakes it. Howard, no contest, as we knew. And again, you're going to give one of the best players to ever play, one of the best mid-range players to ever play, open shots. It's just, shooting ducks in a barrel. You're just asking for trouble. I think that Howard could have made a bigger effort, in the series to be able to challenge shots and make it a little bit tougher for Kobe. But, If Kobe can get to the second line of defense there and just get those open jump shots, it would have been, it's just going to be an easier night. As he does a good job, Howard gets there, but just no challenge, no contest. Here with the high screen and roll. Again, Yao, if we thought if Yao would come out and challenge to the 3-point line, it would be a lot of split opportunities. There, it just sort of didn't come out as high as he needed to be. He did a good job screening with that illegal screen, that forearm to Battier, and just had enough space to pull up for three. But again, it's just a read. If Yao would have come up, he would have attacked him and got into the paint. Now, in the series, we thought that Boozer would be a weak spot in the pick and roll coverages with Millsap. Millsap was going to be a really good defender on the perimeter, but we thought he could string him out at this point of his career, that Kobe could probably just get by to try to turn a corner and try to pull up if Millsap was going to be in these pick and rolls. He did a good job getting to the basket. He drew Boozer, and now he could get LO to for the finish. Kobe had really good vision in pick and rolls. Sometimes he didn't use it and didn't want to pass the ball a lot, but he wanted to take over by himself. But he made good reads, especially when the defender came over and he drew two. Again, on here, Gasol, and another thing with Howard, he just doesn't have active hands. And, we knew there was going to be a lot of pocket pass opportunities on pick and rolls. And here they does a good job. Powell does a good job of setting the screen, rolling, and then just wide open. Here again, against Boozer, we just thought he could turn the corner whenever he needed to on this high pick and roll, turns the corner. Now the weak side's got to rotate over. The bump man that's supposed to get Gasol has to rotate over to stop Kobe. So now it just opens up, Powell in the roll. It just sort of messes up their pick and roll coverage. They have to come all the way over from the weak side to try to stop Kobe, and just Powell's open, wide open down the lane, and Powell's just too good not to finish this play. Again, Kobe had really good vision. Now, because of this, you have Korver has to rotate way over to stop any roll situations, opening up Trevor Ariza. Trevor Ariza, I didn't really explain it well enough in the slide before at Houston, but I thought Trevor was a huge part of their championship success. I picked that up early, when my first game with Kobe. He was such a good spot-up player. Now in the pick and roll, just able to, they jump up and split Boozer. And again, just continue to attack Boozer on pick and rolls, and then find Ariza on the weak side, spotting up. Again, I just thought Ariza on that side of the floor was really good at spotting up and be able to, catch and shoot, catch and drive. Again, he rejects the screen here, Battier on the hip, and then they rotate off ball side corner, which is just an easy read for Kobe. Anytime that ball side would leave, obviously it's such a high percentage shot. Here he comes up, snakes the pick and roll, and just finds Walton in the corner. And using that, just sort of, putting two on the ball right here, and then using that behind the back pass to Powell. He had a great knack. Powell and Kobe worked so well together in so many ways. KB loved, playing with Powell was great. This was Kobe's philosophy in the post. If a defender was bigger or stronger, he would take him to the mid post and face him up and drive him, jump shot, or jab him off for a jump shot. Or take him to the high post for an isolation there. If the player was like size or smaller, he would punish him in the mid to low post by backing him down, using his jump shot package, fadeaway, fake fadeaways, or re-step package. He liked the high post to be able to take players and face them up and operate out of the high post as well. We're going to take a look at his progression of post-ups and the different types of fakes that he used in the post. Now, we talked about Battier being such a good defender. Kobe can't just back him down because it'd just be counterproductive. Here he has to face up Battier to try to face him up in the mid post, jab him off, bringing that ball to the left hip, jabbing a couple of times to free up his jump shot. Again, it opens up Marvin Williams, same thing, just jabs him off and shoots the ball. He's always looking to create space. Jabs off Harden right here. And the biggest thing here is his post-up footwork is a lot like his perimeter footwork. It's about the same thing. Here, Pietrus, he drives him. He always wants to move you one way. Here, Pietrus, he moves Pietrus to his Pietrus's left on the jab. Once he starts leaning to the left, uses that against him, gets low, gets that head nice and low, drives that left foot being down, right foot does all the work. Long step, gets to the basket, body to body, and then just gets to the basket and gets to the rim. He's very aggressive, wants to move his defender in any direction. All right, once he moves him, just going to go where the defender isn't. Here again, jabs twice, and then drives middle. That was a little bit of an MJ thing where MJ would jab twice to get you sort of thinking that you're going to drive it, and then once you lean on that second jab, then you're just going to attack and go to the basket. Here again, he's going to jab Battier multiple times going baseline, and then he's just going to open up for that, that drive to the middle. Jabs him once, jabs him twice. Remember, that ball's in his left hip, so it's already ready for a lefty drive because it's already there. Jabs and finishes at the basket. Here against Pietrus, it's again natural jab on the open up. Pietrus moves to his left, and then KB just goes to the left. Again, footwork, right, left, just like we talked about on the perimeter. It was pretty to watch when he did it, man. I mean, caught it, open, right, left, raise up, shoot. Here he's going to go to his back down package. He's nice and low. Uses his legs, big, strong legs to try to just back his man down and get to his hook. Kobe was very physical on both sides of the floor, and he loves to initiate contact and loves to back players down. Obviously he's going to back him down here, but look at the ball. Ball's protected on his right side, even though he's going to his left shoulder. Ball's going to be on his right side to make sure that he can't get to the basketball by trying to reach in. Backs down, that little fake fadeaway going baseline, frees up that little hook. Same thing with Pierce here. Probably could have been a foul on either player, but just being physical, back down with his legs, that off arm, that left arm's going to, try to protect the ball from Pierce and lay it in. Now let's go to his fadeaway package. As you know, he's probably one of the best fadeaway shooters in the NBA. In history of the move. And we're going to talk about the different ways he could set it up. Here against LeBron, he wants to post up the lane, not straight down. He wants to go up the lane to open up that whole package, that whole baseline. And as he backs down, look at the ball staying on his left side. He wants to set himself up for the fadeaway, but he wants to protect the ball as well. Ball protection is a huge part of his game, and he knew it, so he had to protect it with the arm and just on his angles. Again, taking Allen not straight, but up the lane to open up that whole baseline. As he goes up, once Allen just sort of goes back, he's going to use his left leg and just set that fadeaway up as Allen's going back. It just makes that fadeaway quicker and releases more space going to the baseline. Here, same thing, taking his man up. Played a lot faster, obviously, when he was younger, but he slowed it down as he got older. Just the same principles, though, taking his man up, getting that right foot all the way around as that defender was going back. Here against Balkman, plays with the ball a little bit, fakes that drive going middle, and then Balkman goes on his heels, and he's just already going to set that right leg up already. As Balkman goes back, that right leg's already spinning around and getting to his fadeaway, keeping the ball on the left side of his body, as he turns and shoots. Here against Poindexter, same thing, takes him up, not straight, takes him up to open up that whole baseline. Once Poindexter's back, he just uses that left leg, gets it around, and then gets to his fadeaway. Later in his career that he started using that Dirk, just lift the leg up to create more space on the fadeaway. Just sort of that leg up, sort of put that knee up on the shot just to sort of make it tougher for defenders to get to the shot. He was enamored by Dirk and just wanted to use that shot later in his career. Now we're going to use the fake fadeaway. I'm going to see it here. If you could hit guys enough with the fadeaway, now it's like getting punched in the face. If you want to fake it, you could set the fadeaway up. Just take that half step to get that defender leaning one way, and it messes defenders up. We're going to see it here. He takes Allen to the middle. Watch that left leg. He drops that left leg a little bit, and it's, Allen's got to respect the fadeaway because that's what he's known for, to the baseline. And Allen's going to move a little bit out of position and then just going to open up his shoulder for the shot. Same thing here. He's going to have the back down in the middle like he usually does. But instead of trying to fade away baseline, just get a little fake brewer, goes all the way to the baseline because you got to respect it. Again, it's like flinching somebody trying to punch him in the face for a second time. All right, he just flinches with that half step. All right, that ball stays in the middle of his body, so it's protected so it can't get stripped. Backs down, a little fake fadeaway, opens up his left shoulder for the fadeaway jump shot. Here he takes LeBron, same thing, he takes him up. That little fake fadeaway is going to get LeBron out of his stance a little bit, and then still gets a pretty good hand on the ball, but Kobe does a great job with the fadeaway. Same thing, just taking that little half step, that little bump, half step, opens up the fadeaway. Same thing with Allen, just that little fake step, opens up his left shoulder. Now we're going to go to his re-step game. So he catches it. LeBron's got to respect the back down. So as he catches, he respects the back down, that little fake fadeaway. And now look at the angle LeBron's got to take. LeBron can't get in front of him to get to the ball. He can only get to Kobe's hip. And as he goes to the hip, this is what is called a re-step. All right, as the fake fadeaway comes, LeBron's angle has to be to Kobe's right hip. He can't get in front, as we talked about before. He tries to make the move on the ball, but now he can only get to the hip. Kobe just raises him on the fake, uses the re-step, keeps that right foot down. Big step, use that scoop shot off the glass. Fake, here, re-step, scoop shot up off the glass. Again, just a master at finishes. Same thing with KD. Takes him, fake fadeaway, step, re-step. Totally legal because he keeps his feet down. Waits for the cut, little fake fadeaway, takes the middle, fake fadeaway. All right, so KD's got to respect it. The back down, fake fadeaway, re-step, scoop shot. I'm going to see the same thing against Ty Lue. Back down, fake fadeaway, fake, re-step, off the glass. Now let's go to his high post elbow ISO package. Just treats it like he's on the perimeter. Waits for the cut, opens up, shot on the square up. Quick fadeaway on Battier. Same thing, just getting a shot off as quickly as he can. Opens up, little fake on Darrell Wright, little jab. Just keeping the ball protected. A couple of jabs here. Jump shot. Now he's going to take Battier off the dribble, just getting ripped through, getting outside his body, and be able to finish. Just raises up over Pietrus here, just puts his head down and drives it. Again, elbow ISO to him was the same thing as being on the perimeter. He treated it the same. He worked at it the same. Footwork was the same. Uses his body, gets that shoulder into him, uses the glass. Same thing, he's going to rip through Battier again, get to the baseline, uses his body, finish at the basket. Here against Henry Walker, we're just going to rip him through one dribble. That right, left, right, same footwork as he would in the perimeter. Faces him up, right, left, right there. Gets low, just raises up. Always low in the catch, low in the drive, raises up in the shot. What made Kobe so special is the ability not only to take over games in the offensive end, but also do it on the defensive end. His ability to stay in his stance, active hands, take space away from offensive players, and just take them out of their rhythm just made him that much more of a special player. He took his defensive matchup very personal. He thought every possession, it was like Game 7 of an NBA final. I know it sounds very cliche-ish, but it's true. I mean, his just attention to detail on his stance, on his active hands, staying on the ground, and just trying to take players out of their game was really fun to watch. So we're going to take a look at just sort of how his approach was to using his hands and his activity and his ability to stay in a stance and just have great defensive traits and fundamentals. Here we're going to take a look at Kobe off the ball, just getting his hands in pass lanes. We're going to talk about just how active his hands were and the plays he can make on the ball. Here, Chris Paul takes him on the break. Kobe always had his hands not by his knees, but always at his sides to be able to make plays on the ball just like this. Gets a deflection and just breaks up a play. Active hands all the time. Here on Carmelo, just gets his hand in the passing lane, sort of disrupts the play. He loved disrupting, just sort of play his rhythm. Here, KD tries to take him off the dribble. Again, his hands aren't down, they're up, and just makes a play on the ball. We'll see it again. Stays in the stance, low, just gets the hands on the ball. He got away with a lot of reaches and things, but his hands were really lethal with ability to make plays like this. Here, where D Wade just gets a hand on the ball and just he's off to the races on the break. I think anytime you could take players out of rhythm like this and get your hands all over the place and trace the ball, you can make multiple deflections and plays on the ball. Here he plays Pierce. Pierce has the drive, gets the tap from behind, just always physical, always never back down from a challenge. Never back down. Low in the post, hands are always reaching. Probably got away with one there, but just low and really hard to stop. Here's just a multiple effort play. He gets in the play, gets the hands on the ball, sprints and transition. Here again, back tap, same thing, just sprints out, gets a dunk on the break. Just can't let up, just always trying to make plays. Hands are in, hands taking away space and just getting hands on the ball. A lot of defenders, they just sort of like have their hands down. He always had his hands just, hands are always active, always trying to do something, always trying to make a play. Like I said, the guy probably got away with a lot of fouls, but he's just great with his hands. Here he gets screened, he's out of the play, but then makes a play on Perkins. Never quitting this guy. This guy just ultimate competitor, just wanted to dominate in both ends. Here he gets screened, see it? All right, not quitting, just makes a play, gets a block on Perk. Here he probably fouls Rudy Gay. But as Rudy Gay opens up his shoulder, he tries to get just get a hand on the ball. Always trying to make a play on the ball. Aggressive, never just taking possessions off. The guy was a warrior. Here, just LeBron, just good postie, forces LeBron into a lefty fadeaway hook. Here where Dirk just takes away space from Dirk, gets his hands on it. That was probably a foul. But here, gets a block on a guy who's 7'6". You serious? Gets his hands in passing lane there. Here in an all-star game, which they haven't had a defensive stop since the 70s, just comes up, gets a hand on LeBron. It didn't matter to him. It could be an all-star game. He could take a lunch from a 10-year-old. He didn't care. He was an ultimate competitor. And I think you got to be like that if you want to be great. If you want to be dominant, you can't give up. Guy just made plays and just wanted to get it done on both ends of the floor. Here against Wesley Matthews, same thing. Hand stays down, just gets the hand in a deflection on the ball. Stays down, hands are always up, just makes a play. Off to the races. Here we'll take a look at his defensive traits. Stays in the stance, takes space away from Pierce. Screen comes from Allen. All right, gets through the screen, gets skinny through the screen. Didn't want to be screened on that one. Stays with it, stays with the ball, and funnels him in to help. Here against D Wade, stays in front. Always moving his feet, hands are up, stays in his stance. Just took it personal, man. He took his challenge really personal. Stays down on elbow ISO here, hands are up, shadowing the ball, gets a good contest. LA comes up with the rebound. Just great fundamental defender. Stays down, hands are always active. Rebound. Picks up full court. I don't know how many franchise players do this. Not many. All right, takes space away. Makes a play on Pierce. Stays with it. All right, plays him again. All right, off the ball. Just always active. Moving his feet. Larry David, he's trying to make a spite store over there. Look at him. But again, makes a play on the ball. Great play. Good. Again, it's against Jet Terry, one of the better, one of the hottest players to God. Again, makes a play, makes another play, picks somebody else up off the ball. Dirk on the fake, gets a contest on Dirk. And we'll see it again. Again, stays in front. Moves his feet, gets on his hip, stays down. Look at his stance. Good. Makes a play on the ball, weak side, position to help, and gets a hand up on the contest. Here against LeBron, bodies him up. LeBron tries to hit him with that shoulder and that elbow. Look at him in his stance. Plays up, takes the space away, takes the hit from LeBron, stays down. LeBron tries to elbow him, didn't even flinch. All right, stays in his stance, gets in his hip. All right, stays in front. LeBron tries to body him, stays down. And now this is just great D on Kyrie Irving. Just moving his feet, staying in the stance. Look at him. Just down in the stance, hands are up. Stays in front, and then gets the block. That's big time defense right there. Look at the stance. Staying down, moving his feet, staying down. All right? Doesn't go for the fake the first time and gets the block. And here he just frustrates the hell out of D Wade. Picks him up 94 feet, turns him multiple times, stays down. That's the way it has to be. I mean, if you really want to stop the best players in the game, you got to play D like this. All right? Moves his feet, and then causes a travel. I mean, that was big time. Stays down, gets on his hip. Good. And now against Pierce in the post. Stays down with it. All right, gets back in the play. Contest. LA comes up with it. I mean, it's this effort like that leads to plays like that. D in the post, again, same thing. Stays low, shadows the ball. Contest. LA comes up with it. And that's basically his defensive package. As you can see, stayed in his stance, active hands, ferocious competitor, always after the ball, never quit, and made multiple plays and multiple efforts. If you want to be a championship level player and you want to dominate on both ends of the floor, this is the way. These are the things you need to see. And I just think Kobe was one of the one of the greatest players to play both ends of the floor. 9-time first-team All-Defense in the NBA. It was a pleasure to watch that dude. First off, I'd like to thank everyone for making the time to show up to my webinar tonight. I know your time is valuable, especially at what's going on in the world right now. And I value everybody that views my content. I really appreciate you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. It took me back. It was a lot of work. It took me over a month to do this. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, but to get the video together and just sort of, get my thoughts together on this. It was a lot of 4 a.m. nights and just thinking about the project. It took me back to a place and time in my life, in my career that was a special one. Having the ability to work with Kobe is just, I was just blessed to do it, and I was just very thankful for him to give me the opportunity. He gave me a lot of credibility in the game. I'm not going to be like most and take credit for a great player's success. I probably had 1% to do with what he did on the court. I just was happy to be along for the ride. I just call myself a fat Forrest Gump. Just being there and having access was an unbelievable feeling. To be able to argue with him, be able to talk to him, be able to help, and he helped me way more than I helped him. The one person I'd like to thank for this is Tim Grover. Without Tim Grover, Tim always believed in my ability, always believed in me. He was my favorite boss of all time. And anytime anyone could read his content, buy his service, the guy puts 1,000% in everything, and he's just a special human being in my life. I'd love to thank to him because without him, I'm not here. And I really appreciate him, putting me up to Kobe and, presenting me to Kobe and always trying to help. I'm going to play a 45-second clip. It was about Kobe in his press conference in 2010 after winning the championship, talking about our work together. Again, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. We'll do a little bit of a question and answer after the video plays, but again, thank you so much for attending. God bless.
Back right.
Hey, Jonathan Abrams, New York, Kobe. Jonathan Abrams, New York Times. After Game 2, you had Tim and Mike Procopio fly out to Boston. How much of a role, even all playoffs, have they played for you?
Huge. He was my Jack Bauer. He gave me all the edits, all the history and, scouting reports, and wrote defensive rotations of the Celtics. And I mean, he was my eyes and ears. So when I played the game, I'd use all of his scouting reports and all of his information. It was a huge help for me.
And that was all postseason?
All postseason, particularly this series, because Boston was a huge problem. For me personally, it was a huge problem, and I needed some extra eyes and ears to help me out and help me get through it.